Oops. Welcome to the Lift Heavy Run Long podcast. You can find us at www.liftheavyrunlong.com, on Twitter and Instagram at liftrunlong. Also, feel free to email me directly at the address wilson@liftheavyrunlong.com. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. If you're not a member of our Facebook group, you should be, because we want you to be there. Search for Lift Heavy Run Long Community and request to join right now. My name is Wilson Horrell. I am one of your hosts. I'd like to remind you that the Lift Heavy Run Long podcast is not censored, so listen at your own risk. I thought I told you to point that camera over at Vaughn and Amanda. Now it's on me.
Because you're talking right now.
I'm getting nervous, but they're better to look at while I talk. Lift Heavy Run Long has an app. We want you to be on that app. For $3.99 a month, you can be part of that app, and what you will get is access to the greatest trainer in the world, Ms. Valerie Hunt of RunRx.fit. You will also get 3 bodyweight exercises delivered to your calendar. You will get 4 barbell strength workouts and 4 daily WODs. For $9.99 a month, you will have access to all of the programs that Lift Heavy Run Long has to offer, everything from 5K programs to 100-mile races to triathlon programs to Spartan races. The goal of Lift Heavy Run Long is to bring fitness to as many people as possible, as inexpensively as possible. So if you or someone you know needs fitness in their life, but you do not have $3.99 a month, please email me at wilson@liftheavyrunlong.com, and you're welcome to use the app free of charge. What else we got?
We got upcoming races.
Oh, you need to go to www.liftheavyrunlong.com and click the sign up now button. If you go there, you will be taken to a page that has a list of all the programs that we have to offer. You can read up on those, find one that you like, enter your email address, and you'll be automatically subscribed to the Lift Heavy Run Long app, where you'll get 1 week of the app free of charge. If you like it, sign up for more. If not, it just goes away. No obligation, no hassle. The Chris Hope 5K is Saturday, October 5th, 2019. Go to chrishopefoundation.org and sign up for the LHRL team. You can either come to the race and be a part of it or sign up for the virtual race. 2 weeks after that is going to be the Big Hill Pond Walking Tall 25K and 50K, October 19th, 2019. Go to www.walkingtall50k.com and sign up sooner rather than later. It's going to sell out. It's going to be awesome. This is Brian Williams and Sean Hilson's second year putting this thing on, and it was incredible last year. It's only going to be better. And Vaughn is going to have the greatest aid station in the universe.
It will be an experience like you've never had before.
Yep. I was going to give some tailwind away, and Amanda was like, you got to, it's going to the aid station. Got to start thinking about the aid station.
Okay.
We're like putting stuff back for the aid station.
All right.
Where, you know,
are they sending? Are you on Tailwind Flow now? Are they sending you stuff?
No. This is just Tailwind that I'm not using anymore.
You just bought it.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm doing the Gatorade and peanut butter and cracker route when I run.
Oh.
I think that too much sugar jacks me up. It does when I'm not running, and when I do run, I think it makes me kind of sick. So,
Sugar's bad, okay?
Sugar is really bad. It's really bad. And I don't like putting anything in my body that isn't 100% healthy all the time.
Why'd you laugh?
I'm sorry.
Because she knows we're going to Waffle House after this.
We're so fortunate to have you as such a great example.
As the LHRL nutritionist, the podcast nutritionist. That our date night is at Waffle House. We have a little candlelight dinner set up there, and we talk to the guy that cooks Amanda's, or doesn't cook Amanda's rare steak.
What does a guy like you order at Waffle House?
I'll get all the things.
I'll get the
home run
Philly cheesesteak or whatever.
double Philly cheesesteak on Texas
toast.
toast.
So you don't get breakfast when you go there?
No.
I do.
And then I get hash browns.
Gotcha.
If I could get like 10 orders of hash browns, maybe covered and chunked.
I do that.
You
knew that already,
I would
though.
Tear that up.
What does
Yeah.
chunked mean? Is it put mayonnaise in it?
Ham.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Put little chunks of ham.
Covered is cheese.
I think
No,
so.
smothered.
I'm
is
sorry,
cheese.
smothered is what I meant.
Covered.
I meant smothered.
Covered
then.
is, I think covered is cheese and smothered is chili, right?
What is scattered?
Maybe onions.
Scattered, smothered, and covered.
Scattered, smothered, covered, chunked, diced.
I've actually never
Something's
heard
tomato.
chunked.
Peppered. I
But,
get the
you
jalapenos.
really just tell them what you want on there. And they'll do it any way that you like.
You don't have to know their terminology.
To my right,
Chunk.
I have chunk. That was so...
I'm gonna say that.
Wow.
I'm gonna say that next time I go.
To my right is Chunker right here.
Well,
the most beautiful woman in the world, Dr. Amanda Kimsey Horrell, jacked and tan.
Hello.
How are you?
I am well. How are you?
I know you're well. You've been rocking the Brooke Ince Naked program.
Naked.
Like, seriously, doing
have.
it. Doing it.
Yep.
Been putting in a lot of work and a lot of heat.
Lost 10 pounds.
Have you really?
10
Good for
pounds.
you.
Wow. And
Nice.
how much time?
Found them.
A month.
Right, found your 10 pounds.
All right.
You want
I'm
them
gonna get
back?
somewhere. No.
What's new? Anything?
Super busy at work and just killing it at the gym. It's nice to feel sore. I guess I was being really complacent with the CrossFitting with our program and just kind of half-assing it. So now this program's kicking my ass.
Your whole ass in it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm whole-assing it, and it is kicking my whole ass.
Well, you're going right. You weren't going a whole lot.
Yeah,
for
I'm
a
going
while.
6 days a week now,
Oh wow.
and I'm super sore all the time.
That's great.
But I feel really good.
You still coaching on Wednesdays?
I am.
And to Amanda's right, we have the Reverend Von Rawls.
Here I am.
What's up, dude?
I'm getting jacked.
You're working on getting
Can you
jacked?
tell?
Man.
Can you tell how huge I am? Look
I
at me.
got
So here's
how
the real
big my guns are.
here's the real question. Are you beating your kids at arm wrestling yet?
I haven't tried. That's a good question. I'll have to try that later
Tonight.
Tonight, for
Yeah,
sure.
that's a good milestone.
It's awesome to see the videos of your progression though. Like couldn't lift a barbell after you got back, and now you're doing push presses and all that stuff, and it's inspiring.
Oh, well, thank you.
Seriously.
I seriously could not put a barbell from my shoulders at all, like a 45-pound barbell. Like, it wouldn't move from the starting position. So it would not go. And it was like, I think I talked about this with the push-ups last time, but it's like, it just wouldn't go anywhere. And yesterday, I did 2 sets of 12 with an empty barbell.
Nice.
It's awesome.
So it was hard. Like I got the pump, I got that from an empty barbell, which is crazy.
You
but
just needed a mirror there and Wilsonton in the
I
background.
wish I'd had a
telling you.
mirror.
But
I'd
that's
been
okay. It doesn't make
flexing
any
in there.
difference if it's an empty barbell as long as you get the pump because it feels just as
It doesn't
good with
make
the,
any difference
with a
at
lot
all.
So
of weight.
yeah,
As long
so
as you're-
don't ever put weight back on the barbell. Just get to the point where you're doing like 1,000 reps like that, because
Oh no,
that's
I'm
gonna make you
put,
swell.
I'm gonna
Well,
put
you
weight
seem
on it.
really content with where you're starting. You seem as
Man,
content
you
as
can't
you've ever
imagine.
felt with anything. And I think that maybe you can kind of understand my perspective when it comes to running as somebody who started out at basically where you're starting out with weightlifting now
Right.
because of your injury.
Right.
I started out with running because of a life of drugs and alcohol.
Right.
And so I've never gotten to where I didn't appreciate a run of any sort. So
Oh,
I've-
right.
So
Yeah.
there's that when people are like, I got to get faster. I got to do this. And I'm like, I'm just happy I can run at
I'm
all.
just happy I can move.
Yeah.
Right. Like I couldn't do any. I deadlifted. So yesterday I had deadlifts and overhead press, dumbbell rows, which are my new favorite thing to do.
Those are cool.
ever, and glute bridges. And so on the deadlifts, I worked up to sets. Well, I was doing sets of 8 at 185 pounds.
That'll work.
And I was like, damn, yeah. Like I could have
awesome.
I could have done 350 at one point, at that rep scheme, but who cares, man? I was just happy that I can pick the weight up off the ground,
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And you'll have a larger window of people who will like you because you're more relatable. When you get too strong, they won't care about you that much.
I don't know. I don't. Nobody's.
I don't like you when you're stronger than me. I like you right where you are. You're perfect just where you are. Speaking of perfection, Back in the studio,
How's it going?
Big Thirsty. So, as most of you know, Big Thirsty was put on suspension because of some inappropriate conduct, inappropriate remarks he made to Vaughn.
And he said something he said on Twitter, too. He said some things.
He said some
And there was an outrage. And so
sexually degrading
I
things
just had
towards
to-
Vaughn. I think there was some indecent exposure.
I
And
appreciate
then
you guys covering for me.
because of that, he went on a bender, and we had to take him to rehab. Well, him going to rehab was also a violation of his parole. So then the next week he had to go and straighten some things out at Hollis Law Firm, and Scott was able to get him off the hook, and he's back now.
And then he went and won a 10K
And then he won
in Atlanta. The largest 10K
the
in
largest
the entire world.
10K, and is it in the country?
It's 60,000 people. I can't
There
believe
can't be a
that's
whole
bigger.
lot of
Largest.
10Ks.
I'm
much
sure.
larger than that.
Yeah, even starting 25 minutes behind the elites, I was able to catch them, and
Good for you.
He also said he passed one guy that said it's all downhill from here, and it was actually all
it was
downhill,
actually all downhill.
which is really crazy.
How was that running with 60,000 other people?
I got lucky. You get They have 25 waves, not including the elites.
That's crazy for a 10K.
Yeah,
Wow.
and so what wave you get put in is based on the 10K time you submit from previous race. And so I did fairly well last year at the Road Race Series and submitted that time, and so I was in the 5th wave. So there was probably only 2,000 people in front of me total that had already run at the point that I got to go. So didn't have to really worry so much about dodging people or anything like that, and it wasn't bad at all.
You didn't feel too fast or too slow for where you were?
Oh, I definitely felt too slow, but that's just me being in my own head and knowing how fast I used to be. The race felt really good. Like, it's funny.
I mean, in terms
Vaughn-
of your shoot, like, did you feel like that people were wanting to trample over you?
Because my typical style is to go out way too fast and then die. You know?
there you go.
And so start in that starting mile or so where everybody is bundled up, I was actually passing people.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I was good.
But in a race with 1,500 people, I think that first 3/4 of a mile there's a lot of anxiety to that because you're just constantly tiptoeing around people or letting people by you. Is 60,000 people 60 times that, or is it because it's spread out that way
They do
about the same?
They start another wave every 5 minutes. So there is some gap there, but even when, if I were a faster person, so I started in the 5th wave, and let's say that was too slow for me, I'd get to the point where I passed everybody in my wave, but then I would catch up to the wave in front of me eventually, right? And there would still be a grouping and that kind of a thing. So I don't know if it's good, bad, or otherwise. I had a decent day, other than that first quarter mile where it's very obvious that it's people's first race, and so they don't understand the etiquette. Like, I know you're here with your 12 friends, but you guys don't need to run shoulder to shoulder. You guys need to fall in behind
Holding
each other.
hands.
Yeah, Lincoln
Like,
Arms.
you gotta leave
Isn't
room.
that the worst thing in the world that people lock arms on a course?
And then they
like
get
that?
offended when people are trying to break through them.
Yeah.
Listen, man, it might be their first
And that's what I said.
10K.
I'm assuming it's
you
just
got
their
to get
first.
out. in
Listen
front
to
of
you.
those.
I love it. Listen to that. It might be. That's right.
Like they're
So
some
it's
people
funny-
only do that one time in their life, and so they fuck up your 11,000th 10K that you've done.
Yeah,
Very
exactly.
true.
Exactly.
This
And
dude
that's
is
why.
a spiritual giant.
Yeah, right now he's got this Zen
Yeah.
mindset.
Keep that
of
mindset.
keeping positive.
I'm trying to.
But it's funny. So we have some friends that live in Atlanta, and the husband has only ever run a 5K, and every time he trains, he only runs 3 miles. He never runs any further. He never runs any less.
Yeah.
He goes and he runs 3 miles, and he does it several times a week. But he's inspired. He's like, "Oh, we're running this next year," and so he's jacked up to and ready to.
I want to
train
go
and
do
run
it.
for a 10K.
It'd be awesome.
It's a fun. It
Just to say you
you
ran
you,
the largest.
You joke about the downhill part, but I'm not joking when I say 90% of the course is actually downhill.
I don't want to run
Now,
downhill.
there are 2
Ooh.
very, very significant hills. Think running up Beale Street from Riverside, except 3 times longer.
Oh God.
So 2 very significant hills on the course, but other than that, it's slight little bumps in the road kind of thing. But it was pretty downhill.
Did we
most
say
of
the
course.
name of this race already?
Peachtree 10K
Peachtree 10K in Atlanta.
It was on July 4th. I was very happy. I don't have it pulled up. I can pull it up here in a second. But all joking aside about my performance, I actually placed pretty well. Like top third of all men, top half of my age group. Like I didn't bomb it out. I wasn't bringing up the rear as far as my time goes. So
That doesn't surprise me.
well,
I think that you're much more down on your fitness than anybody else.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, and we talked about this a lot last year. I kept having this success in races despite the fact that I wasn't really training or anything, and I'm having less success, but still far from where I was before I started running. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm not unhappy. I mean, I should have even lower expectations than I do, considering the amount of training that I've done.
Well, I think I think a lot of that is mental, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think you've had that experience, so I can run a 10K in an hour or whatever,
Yeah.
and you just go do it. And even if it's like when you first started, it would like suck because you were like, "Oh, this sucks, man. I don't know what this feeling is. I better stop or go slower."
Right.
Now you're like, "Oh, you're comfortable with that."
I did find myself mentally like beating myself up at once or twice on the course, and it was more I always like to go drive a course beforehand, so I know, like, kind of like gaming the, like, when do I run, when do I walk kind of thing. And I didn't know what was coming up, so there was one point where I was walking, and this father and son were coming by me, and Dad's like, "Oh, let's keep running because in about a quarter mile we got the second big hill to climb up." And I was like, "Oh shit, why am I walking then? Like, I need to run." So, which means mentally I was able to run the whole time.
Right.
I was just walking just because I didn't want to run at that point. So, anyways,
Was it hot?
they sent out like a dozen advisories via email and text message. Like, we were code yellow at the start of the race, and about 30 minutes after I finished, they were at code red. And they were like, people slow down, make sure you're hydrating, stop at every aid station, blah, 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 blah.
Sending out notifications like you had a doctor's appointment. Swanson had tweeted about the absurd amount of notifications that you get from doctors and their doctor's appointments right about the time that you sent me the screenshot and said, "I took care of this. Did you take care of this for Grace's doctor appointment?" Which I had already taken care of,
Right.
saying that we're going to be there.
Right.
But then they still have to send it to Amanda. Like, we asked your husband, but our computer doesn't really trust him. We're going to ask you because our computer thinks you're the responsible one.
Well, and that's the funny thing. It's like, so like a week out, they send you a text like, "Hey," or no, they called me, and it's an automated system. It's like, "Press 1 if you're going to be there." Okay, 1. Thank you. We'll see you, at your appointment. And then, like, 3 days later, they send me an email which has a button. "Click here to confirm you're going to be there." And it's like, okay, click there. I'm confirming. And then the day before the appointment, they send me a text message. "Reply with C to confirm you're going to be at the appointment." It's like,
If you never respond, do they give your appointment away?
no.
Like, so
Exactly.
then why is it a problem
The
here?
only
Like,
the only thing that is going to happen is if you respond negatively. Like, they'll give your appointment away if
oh,
you.
well, then you can just ignore that.
Touch every
Like-
picture that has a fire hydrant in it. Am I the only one that gets nervous when when you have to answer the questions for the CAPTCHA?
Can I go on a nerd, not rant, but
Please do.
Side thing real quick? Do you know that CAPTCHA is owned by Google?
I did not.
ReCAPTCHA, that service.
I did know
And
that,
so,
yeah.
And what that
when-
is for people who don't know, it's when you have to,
Prove
when you
you're a
have
human.
like 8
Yeah.
squares and you have to prove that you're a human by clicking.
Well, I
whatever
think
the text-
so-
I think the term reCAPTCHA encapsulates a few different things. Like
No,
you can do
ReCAPTCHA
the
is an actual service that provides CAPTCHA.
right, but you can do the thing where you can click "I'm not a robot," or you can do the sign thing, or you can do
Well,
the
it depends.
word
Yeah, it
thing.
depends on you as the site admin, which
Right,
way you choose
right,
to implement it.
right.
But the thing I wanted to say, you're talking about click all the things that have a fire hydrant. You're actually training Google's AI when you do that.
Really?
That's
Yep.
a fire hydrant.
You're because it's guessing based on the information it already has, and you are confirming to it. And if your answer is too far off of what the machine knows or believes to be right, then it'll test you again until your answers match up. But so for a long time they just did like street signs or house numbers, and you were literally training their machine on how to read photos and stuff like that, and
So you're
basically-
teaching the
Now it's-
robot
now it's getting-
to read. You're teaching the robot to read the pictures.
yeah,
Is that
getting
what,
more
is that what's meant by
gets-
machine learning?
yeah,
It gets more
Wow.
specific every so often.
Yeah.
Like you said, it started with street signs or whatever. And once they realize, okay, we got that down, let's switch it to cars or
Right.
buses.
right. And every time
And
you're
then now
just
it's
teaching
like, let's
the AI.
switch it to fire hydrants or let's switch it to.
Mailbox.
Because they are
Yeah.
still trying to create the first computer that can pass the Turing test, which is what the CAPTCHA is supposed to block, is bots from being able to log into a website or whatever. And but the Turing test is like, are you, so if all we were doing was having a text chat conversation, how certain are you that the person on the other end is actually a human? And anyways, that's my nerd rant, but I thought that was super cool. I had a friend that worked for Google for a while, and she was explaining all that to me, and she was like, "Yeah, you're actually training their AI because it looks at and analyzes millions of pictures a day." Because like if you take on a Google phone or an Android phone, if you take pictures and allow Google Photos or allow it to upload to Google Photos, it'll come back like a week later and it'll have all these categories of like pictures with people smiling, pictures, of food, pictures of animals, like that kind of a thing.
Well,
And-
it's cool, but it's also a little bit creepy.
Yes, it is.
It's totally
Because-
creepy, but it's totally cooler
because
than
now
creepy.
you
Violation
also
of
have
privacy.
millions of people with these little devices in their homes, all throughout their homes. They're just listening to them speak all the time.
All the time.
Yep.
And
And-
getting no better because of
Who
being in our
knows
house.
what you're training doing that,
right.
right? Like,
I know most of the time that it's a human on the other end of my text message, because you wouldn't believe the text messages that I get. I was telling Amanda today,
But they're getting better.
I
man.
can't tell you how many people send text messages to me regularly that start off with, "I didn't know who else to tell this to." Or, "No one else would appreciate this but you."
Fair
And
enough.
it's something that they ate or something that they,
Right,
it's
right.
like, I don't know how I should feel about this. I really feel good that you're like comfortable coming to me with that, but
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to be that guy.
I gotta go find the video. I can't remember if it was a Google service or if it was Amazon. I want to say it was Amazon, but they created this service that you can basically like say, like, "Hey, make an appointment at the doctor for me on Wednesday," and so it has full access to your calendar and stuff. But it's a voice assistant, like that actually makes the phone call, and it uses stuff like, "Yeah, that'll work." Like it'll randomly put kind of stuff that a human would say, and you can't tell that it was a robot calling or a computer calling you. And so when they first demoed it, like people were kind of up in arms, like this is not like a safe thing. And so they actually they modified it where it has to identify itself. It's like, "Hey, I'm fully capable of having a conversation, but this is a computer calling on behalf of Brian Swanson, blah, 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 blah." And it was pretty cool stuff, but getting closer and closer to the computers that could fake us out.
Siri's not. Siri just gets continuously
man,
worse.
I was thinking on the drive over here, can you change the verbiage you use to invoke Siri?
You can change
Yes.
her.
So can I change it to
command
where I
line.
could be like, "Hey, homie, call Brian"?
Well, I don't think
Yeah.
you get to pick what it is, but but there are several options. Like at least
I'm sure
with,
you can, and then she'll still tell you that she doesn't understand what she's saying.
with Alexa,
you're
there's
saying.
4 or 5 different words. That you
Oh,
can
but you
use.
can't record your own voice at your
No.
own That would be cool if you could do that.
Not that I'm aware of, anyways.
All right, you mentioned the heat. You talked about
Heat.
Atlanta being so hot.
Yeah, man.
How do you feel about heat training? Do you have a problem with working out in the heat?
I would rather take a beating, but I do it.
You'll run in the heat. You
I
don't
will.
shut down during the summer.
No, I try not to, because summer heat training is fall winter speed.
You think so?
Positive.
Really?
100%. If you
I
can if you can train yourself to run,
Is that a pretty generally accepted belief?
yeah, because there are, and everybody's ideal temperature is different, I believe, but there's still like an acceptable range, and there's a point where your body is fighting the heat, and so your performance is degraded as a result. But then if you learn to run a 9-minute mile average pace 5K at 90 or 100 degree weather, then when all of a sudden it's the ideal temperature, like 50 or 60, and I don't know what the number is, but let's just say 50 or 60 degrees out, you're going to be running like a 7:30, 7:45 pace probably.
Yeah, but we have a special
with the same amount of effort.
We have a special kind of heat in the Mid-South.
It's
where it's
solid.
not just like heat training, it is punishing you.
Yeah, it's
You are
humidity
in
as
a
well.
very difficult spot trying to run in the middle of the day. I don't know what kind of person does that. Runs between noon and 2 o'clock in the middle of the summer, but it's brutal. I mean, it's like
You can see it.
yeah, it's very
You
difficult.
can like see the heat
yeah.
sucking the life out of your body.
So
It's been 4 or 5 years, but there was a time that I was going out to Tour de Wolf once a week and doing a loop out there at lunch on
Yeah.
purpose. Like during the summer.
that's tough stuff. If you can train to do that, there's no question that would make you better when the temperature drops, right? Especially down here because it's harder to breathe. Not only are you hot and sweaty, you can't breathe properly because it's so freaking humid outside. So that's definitely an element to that makes you a better runner when the season changes.
And even if you don't get faster, you're going to be suffering less.
Yeah,
That's my main
your
concern. I'm not
endurance
concerned
will
about
your endurance will
Yeah,
improve.
so
It
even
will.
if you don't want to run faster, it's less effort for you to do the same thing, which means you got faster.
I love it. I talk to people or not all the time, but I've had a lot of people say like, "Man, this really sucks." Like I'm supposed to be running an 8-minute mile here, and I'm like at a 10-minute pace, and I'm like, "Look, it's the middle of the summer, you know. Just accept that, and when the fall gets
When
here,
fall
you're gonna be
gets here,
crushing."
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Mid to upper 40s is my ideal.
Somebody called me crazy, but I was like,
Ideal
I
running.
think my ideal temperature is somewhere between 35 and 45.
Yeah, I was thinking 30, 35.
And they were like, "Oh my God, that's so cold," and I was like, "I can run
No.
forever."
Yeah.
If it's
when
a
it's that
long
cold.
one, if it's a long one for sure, the colder the better.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah,
know.
because you're going to get yourself overheated if you're actually pushing yourself.
Because then you get to the point where you
Yeah.
just warm up to be, you're warm,
Right.
and you never really overheat.
I'll tell you, talking about how bad the humidity is in Memphis, if you ever run in a dry heat, you would appreciate the humidity, because the problem is when you're running in the dry heat, the sweat instantly evaporates. And so
Really?
you don't know
Oh,
you're
okay.
sweating.
No.
Oh.
You don't know you're sweating.
I thought the
And
dry heat was a lot easier.
I'm talking about hot,
Yeah.
like over 100 dry heat.
Man, I have friends in Arizona and California, and he's like, it's going to be 117 this week, 120. I'm like, what?
You've
What does
and
that
I don't know
feel?
how bad it gets in Death Valley, but you always hear when they're running Badwater, because they run that in the worst part of the year, that they have to run on the white line, the stripe on the road,
Melt their damn
because
shoes
it'll
off.
melt their shoes if they're running on the black
my
asphalt.
Oh.
Seriously, it'll
Yeah.
melt the soles of their shoes, so they have to run on the white line.
They run
to
out there
make
like
their
they look like
shoes.
beekeepers.
Yeah,
They're all completely
like
covered
completely
up.
covered
and
up and-
Big hats on.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's something, man. Hey, I got my socks on. You remember the socks I talked about last week with our heads on it?
Oh, yeah?
Can you zoom in on that? You can't really see it very well.
that's a good.
Those are the socks that
Oh,
Amanda
my
got me
gosh.
Maybe I should.
That's beautiful.
Here, come over here. Come over here, you
They got
big sexy
hearts
beast.
on
Show me those
them.
legs.
They got my face on them and Wilson's face on them.
These are socks. with
Can you lift your leg up
pictures.
that high?
I'm impressed.
Oh, look.
Don't show 'em my face. Show 'em your face.
Too late. There's Amanda.
That's awesome.
I'm impressed that you could get your leg up there. That's pretty awesome. I wouldn't be able to do that.
I felt like that was important.
Here it comes, people. I'm watching it live with you on Facebook.
Somebody is.
Here comes the leg.
like-
There it is, big sexy.
Oh man, that's funny. I forgot to tell people to go to memphisflyer.com and vote us for. No, it's not.
That's not time.
That's not later. All right, so I had a problem with my New Balance shoes and the insert, like the not custom insert, just
The insole.
The insole was sliding around,
Okay.
and I put somebody in the community group told me to put Shoe Goo on it.
Oh, that's
So-
a good idea.
I'm 2 for 2, 2 runs, no problems, no slippage.
What kind of New Balance you wearing? Just curious.
I can't remember the names of
Doesn't
them.
matter.
860
Okay.
V9 or something. Incredible. They've changed my life. I'm not kidding you a bit.
They are
People
not minimal.
No,
At
no,
all.
I know.
No, not even close. But they're wide toe box, wide shoes, wide toe box.
I'm a huge fan of New
Dude,
Balance.
man, it makes such a difference.
I'm about to order. So I've taken up golfing again recently.
Okay.
I'm about to order some New Balance Minimus golf shoes.
Really?
Yeah.
If we go play golf, I'm going to bring a video camera.
Okay.
But we need to do that.
You bring a video camera. I'm bringing beer.
Okay.
You don't have to drink any of it, but
Well, I know that. If I'm drinking beer, we don't need a video camera.
true story.
And you don't have any more beer.
Uh,
Yeah, we should do that.
I'll go play. Yeah.
But people always say, like, you got to get the right shoes. You got to get the right shoes. But it's hard to tell if you have the right shoes.
Yeah.
And you don't know until you
have the
them.
right shoes.
And now I have the right shoes, and it's like, man, my hips. I mean, all the way up to my hips and my back, like, I just don't have the same pain that I used to have before.
That's awesome.
I mean, I still hurt like hell, but not like I used to.
Hal Stansberry said, "I'll trade golf lessons for running tips."
I feel like that we would be getting the better end of that deal. He knows better than taking running tips from me, but I know he's a good golfer. So he wins stuff.
Oh, nice.
He could be your commentary person while y'all are out on the
Hal
course.
needs to be incorporated into,
We need to have him do your intro.
yeah.
Welcome to the Lift
He
Everyone Long
needs to come
podcast.
play golf with us, and then he can be on the video. This guy's got a broadcaster voice like you've never heard before. You know who he is? The Hal Stansberry in the SD 3000. He does the weather and stuff just from his.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's how.
He's incredible.
That's funny.
All right, somebody you posted the question on the Lift Heavy Run Long community. What's more important, mental health or physical health?
I did.
Was that the question that you
actually,
posted?
the question was, do you train your mental state as much as you do your physical state?
That's right. Who wants to start? That's a good question.
I don't. I know I need to train my mental state more. I downloaded that Oak app or whatever it is.
Have you
Screw
used
them.
it?
I have not. The reminder reminds every morning
Oh,
at
yeah.
7:30 to do my breathing, but I don't do it.
Oh, yeah.
But I did. I did do it at night one time. I did my breaths and stuff at night to help me try to sleep.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that. Yeah.
But I've downloaded books and on just my mental health and stuff and how to improve myself, and I'm trying to get there with my mental part of it. But working out itself also helps my mental health.
Is
I was
it
going to
hard,
say, CrossFit and training for long runs helped more for my mental strength than anything else.
Are you conscious of that while you're running and training? That like this is good for
Yes.
Yeah.
my mental health.
I've always felt that way too, to be honest.
For me, it's the 2 years ago when we did Sillamore 50K, and I'm miserable and I'm dying, but you and I are putting one foot in front of the other, and we finished Sillamore. Chris Miller beat us by like 90 minutes. All that kind of stuff. Like, it's that kind of suffering that the next time I'm out there, I'm like, well, it's not that bad. It's not as bad as that race was. Or it's not. And especially while Carol was going through all of her like chemo and stuff that she was dealing with, like I could mentally tell myself, suck it up, like you don't have cancer, you're not going through chemo, like this is not suffering on the level that you think you're suffering, kind of thing. And so yeah, I can definitely use that stuff to my advantage but you have to be in the right frame of mind too, and I think that's part of the training.
Yeah, you're talking about what I think is experience.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And what I'm talking about is mindset, which I
Right.
think are two different things.
Without a doubt.
If I've run a race, a 100-mile race, that's a fantastic event. And I know that I can go and run a 50-mile race. And if I get into a spot where I feel like I want to quit, I know that I can do that because I have the experience to finish that.
Sure.
I know that I can do it. But what I'm talking about is more of, I'm an idiot. I can't do this.
Right. No.
I can't do this because I'm stupid. Or Amanda will think I'm a loser if I do this thing, whatever the thing is.
Or I'm not that good of an athlete.
Or I'm not that good of an
there's
athlete.
There's no way that I can ever deadlift that
right.
much or run that far or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Or I'm not going to do well in this business meeting today because everybody thinks I'm an idiot in this room, right? I think those are two different. It's different than saying, yes, you can definitely take your athletic experience and the marathon runs and the hard things that you've done in the gym. That definitely translates to being a better person and being more confident, for sure. But at the same time, I think everybody has the potential to have some negative thing in their head that could shut down all of that confidence and make you fail because you don't believe in yourself or you think have a negative
True story
vibe going on about you.
I'm trying to remember.
I also feel like that there's people who will never believe that there's anything mentally for them to work on.
Yes.
You know, that any situation is a situational problem.
And that's why I gave the option in the poll, shut up, hippie.
Yeah, right.
Because a lot of people do look at it that way. And I've looked at it that way.
And a lot of people don't need the mental health training that I need. You know, Amanda said that she's trying to get into it. She obviously believes that there's something there, but she's gone through her life on a pretty relatively balanced place where people like me found, you know, spiritual training, mental training, whatever you want to call it, later on in life, and now I'm a big believer in it.
Right. But Amanda's not the greatest person in the entire world, right? I mean, so even though she's on a level that we are not on, obviously, what benefits? Well, that just makes her even more superwoman. Yeah. Like it's not to say, oh well, I've already got all this shit figured out. I don't need to do that. Well, you don't have all this shit figured out. It's just going to make you even more of a great person than you already are.
Well, the point that I'm trying to make is I think that if you are a person, regardless of where you are in your mental state, if you're a person that recognizes that there is another place you can go mentally, then the world is wide open.
Right.
Like once you start to recognize that, then as opposed to just being indifferent and going through the world and enjoying it on some level or not, but the people that you can tell somebody that believes that there's different things out there for them based on their own conscience.
Yes.
And when you're around those people, you don't have to be around them long to be like, this person is either he's on another level or he's going to be there.
Right.
Those are good people to be around.
And
I would put Vaughn
in that group. Like,
oh, wow.
Like I know you are probably now intentionally focused on training your mindset, but you've always had a very strong mindset. Like I've said it in the past, like you're the guy that can go into the pain cave and just set up house and make yourself comfortable there. Like that's a mindset that not many people have. Like as soon as they start to struggle, they want to back off. They don't want to feel the hurt. They don't want to feel the struggle. And you're just like, nope, this is just part of it. And I mean, whether it's your first 100-miler or, you know, deadlifting 400 pounds or whatever, you just never, hell, even the special forces experience, like, you know, you didn't want to quit. Like you were just in that mindset where I can't quit. I'm not going to quit. And it wasn't until your body physically shut down
Right.
that you actually quit. Like your mind, 99% of the other people that would have gone to that thing would have been like, fuck this shit. Like this
But
hurts.
what are you
I'm
saying in
tired.
regards to, you said you're not a person that believes that?
No. I fully believe that the training the mindset's important. I'm sorry. The point I was trying to make was some people are naturally already strong mentally, if that makes sense. And I don't know what got Vaughn, I'm using Vaughn as the example, to that point, because I don't feel like prior to CrossFit or doing his first 50 mile or anything like that, that he trained for that mindset, which is what he's suggesting that we should be doing, right?
Right. Yes. That's good. It's very good.
Yeah. So you're saying we need to train for that mindset of the struggles and stuff like that, and being able to stay positive in a situation that we're not comfortable or that we're struggling. And I think some people are just naturally. You're talking about some people don't believe it because they've never. It's because they might already naturally just be so strong that they've never had to train their mindset.
And I
It's
guess
like-
that's true, but there are also the flip side of that where there are people who just don't want to. He will shut it down.
It's just not necessary.
But
It's hokey
but we're
pokey.
but we're talking about two different things. Amanda doesn't think it's not necessary. She's just already a good and smart person,
Right.
that does what she's supposed to do, right? Then there's other people that don't even want to hear anything about it because that's some hokey bullshit that I don't need to get into, because I just all I need to do is just lift some weights or whatever, and I think you're stupid for suggesting that I should sit down and breathe and meditate for 10 minutes.
Sure.
Does that make sense? It's the same thing we talked about when we were talking about on another show about the people who, if I bring up Donald Trump, they just shut down completely, right? If I bring up, well, hey man, maybe you should think about meditating. I'm not gonna do that, you know.
Yeah,
Maybe y'all are looking at me like I'm silly.
No.
Maybe I'm completely wrong.
No.
just listening to you make
got
your
it.
point. Yeah, it's
I'm,
good.
I'm with you. I agree with you.
I think all four of us agree that training your mindset is important. It's just not something. It's kind of like mobility at the gym. It's something that's really important. It would make all of us a better athlete if we worked on mobility every day. Training your mind is another thing that you should. It's another muscle that we should be training every day.
But I mean, I'm
Did
not.
you know that the CrossFit Open is in like 13 days?
No.
Yeah, just because Scott posted it.
That's the only reason that I know.
Actually, it's the CrossFit Games.
Oh, the CrossFit Games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought they were having another Open in October. Well, it's not October, is it?
It is July.
I was thinking it was the
That's
next
funny.
CrossFit Open, which I guess is not that much more unusual than the lack of news that I've heard on the CrossFit Games.
The CrossFit Games is in.
There's been
21
no
days?
mention of it at all.
Well, I
I'm
saw
okay with that.
Yeah.
they started tweeting.
Well, it seems like
today about
everybody is. Isn't that crazy? In 1 year, that it just goes away that fast?
It's.
The
I
hype
don't
is
think
just-
it's gone away. I mean, I can't speak to it because I'm not paying attention like I used to. But
you and
I mean,
100% of
everybody doesn't know what to expect. Honestly, it sounds like it's gonna be a big clusterfuck. But
see.
who knows? It may be just as organized
Yeah,
as always is.
Roman-
There are going to be streaming partners. You'll still be able to watch it live over
Yeah.
the internet. There's still going to be some broadcasts happening. You know,
I never
blah, blah,
watched
blah,
it
blah,
anyway.
blah. Oh, I did. I definitely did.
Roman Khrennikov knows what to expect for the second year in a row because he got denied his visa again.
Why did he get denied his visa?
I don't know, but he has for 2 years in a row. He's qualified and won his stuff, and then when it came time to hop on a dinghy over here, it
Wow.
hasn't happened.
who is he?
He's a Russian dude. I think he's from Russia. He's got a foreign name. He's communist. Sounds like.
Probably.
Somewhere over there by France.
Do tattoos affect sweat rate? Have you ever thought about that?
100% they do.
Do they?
Amanda,
Really?
do
I've
tattoos
never
affect sweat
thought
rate?
about that. I don't have any tattoos.
I have the answer. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I'm going to let y'all think about it.
I mean, it's just ink underneath the skin. I know different colors have different, like, weights or whatever, or different, I don't know what word I'm trying to find. But I've never really thought about it, actually. I mean, you got sweat glands.
Do they block those sweat glands?
I
I
don't think
believe
so.
that they do.
You think?
Vaughn?
I don't.
But
think
I
so.
don't know. I'm thinking of the effect of that. Like, does it matter? Like, do you have to be covered head to toe in
I mean, I
tattoo
sweat
ink, and
just
you
as
just
much
don't
out
sweat
of my
anymore?
tramp stamp and everything else as much as
Yeah, but did you sweat out of that, or did it drip down there?
I don't know. I
I
have
don't know. I've
any
never
tattoo
really looked at my
experience.
butt.
I have zero tattoo experience, so I have no.
What's the answer, Wilson?
No, the answer is no.
It doesn't affect your
It
sweat?
does not affect your sweat.
Okay.
Who? Why would? Did you just look that up, or where
It's
did
an
that-
article. I saw it on
Really?
the internet.
It must
So
be
what?
true.
What credible source wrote this article?
Man,
Vox.com?
I can't pull it up now. Runner's World.
That didn't make it into the notes.
It was researchers recruited 22 inked up individuals to get the answer. And what they did was they put sweat testers on different parts of their body, on the same parts of their body on opposite sides, where they had ink,
Okay.
where they didn't have ink, where they had dark ink, where they had light ink.
Okay.
And they tested their sodium rates and they tested
Because
their
I
sweat.
I would believe that other parts of my body would make up for the inability to sweat at the point where I had the ink. But it sounds like you're saying like they tested.
They're testing individual parts of their body.
Yeah.
If you had blocked sweat glands, then you'd have infections and all that stuff.
True story.
If you've got tattoos, chances are you've heard that your ink may be messing with your workouts and blocking your sweat glands. But tattoos,
No,
especially,
Never heard of
Let's
it.
qualify. You should qualify that statement. Like, what? That's.
He's
That
reading the article.
I know. I
he
know
doesn't
that.
need to qualify.
I know, but the author that wrote that is what I'm saying. Like, where'd that come from? Like, that's the last thing I would think if I had tattoos
Wilson,
and working out.
he's not attacking you. I'm sorry.
No. I'm attacking the author of.
are you
what
saying
you're
because I
reading.
have tattoos, I'm a dirtbag?
No, but I'm saying that like the worrying about how much I sweat is the last thing I would think of if I had tattoos. Is there really anybody that has tattoos that thinks that?
I have not worried about it. I have thought about it. Like, would this have an effect on sweat, or would it block,
You have actually thought that.
hair growth glands?
Hair
and things
growth
like
is
that?
not the same thing.
Deborah said that your dad was getting a tattoo right now, but he just stopped since he doesn't want to affect his sweat and his ego.
His endurance. Ed didn't want to throw off his endurance.
He wants to know if it'll slow you down while you're running because of the weight of the particles of the color.
It will. All my tattoos are on my right side, and that's why I.
We were
walk.
joking about how your
That's-
balance
That's
is
why
off.
I walk like that. I
All the
waddle
hev-
to
all
that
the heavy
side.
metals on
Yeah,
your
my
skin.
pimp limp is because of all my ink. Yo.
Pimp limp?
Yeah. So these researchers are from Australia, and they know a lot.
Actually, Australians are really good with health stuff.
That's why I said it. I knew that. I know a lot about both research and
But he reads on the
geography.
internet.
The study, published in the Journal of Science and Medicine and Sport, that's a credible source, looked at 22 inked men and women between 18 and 45 years old. Tattoo had to be more than 2 months old, just under 2 inches square, and was 50% or more shaded. So they found that they lost on average, the ones that did have tattoos, 0.92 milligrams of sweat per square centimeter on their tattooed area and 0.94 milligrams of sweat.
Oh, so proof.
So there is
slow
a
it down.
difference. There is a difference, which I guess 2% could be, that's a lot, right? 2%.
But was
not-
it
it's not
clinically
2%,
significant?
it's
Was it an
0.02%.
actual, like, proven? What was the?
They're saying no. They're saying it was not, that the
Okay.
answer is no.
I was gonna say we'll look at the p-value and see what it was compared to the all
It doesn't
that.
say nothing about nobody peeing on it. I don't have, it doesn't go into any more detail than
Okay.
that. So,
We'll break that study and tear it down.
Swanson, you were wrong. Juan, you
okay.
were right, right?
I was,
Amanda, you were right.
I was correct. I'm sure.
Oh, what about this? We talked about, I don't know if we talked about it or if we had him on the docket to talk about that Dr. Meza, who was, he's a runner that was accused of.
I think we talked about him cheating.
Disqualified.
We talked about
he was
cheating.
Kicked out of races. He was
Okay.
and accused of cheating, and that marathon cheaters guy.
Yeah. Marathon investigator, or whatever his name is.
Well, and then they found him dead this past week. They
The
found
marathon guy?
him. Yeah.
They found him in a ditch on the side of the road.
And
Don't
in the
fucking
water.
cheat at my race.
In the water. They said
the water,
that,
yeah.
but they said that it didn't appear to be a drowning. I think that's the same guy,
Yeah.
right? So I don't know if they
And
ever had
his
any.
wife was like, he just went off
The shame.
He's like, I'm going for a run,
Yeah.
and he just never came back. He's like, okay, I'll see you
He
later.
couldn't stand the shame of being outed.
That's the argument. I mean, that's what people are saying is like, why did people have to take it this far? And then other people are saying, well, he did it to himself. Nobody did this to him.
Well, they never said
And then-
whether he committed suicide or not, did they?
No.
Well, and then there's people who say, well, either way, the stress of it, killed him because
I
he
could
did
see
say
the stress
that it
of
was.
it killing him either way,
lot.
if he cheated or not. Like, could you imagine if he didn't cheat?
He was apparently a real like pillar in the community.
He was adamant that he didn't cheat. He had an explanation about I went off course to go use the restroom and came right back on the course where I left. But
But the evidence is pretty damning when they talk about his times and some of the mile
So you
times
think
that
he
he
just
did.
got stressed about it and had a heart attack?
I don't know.
He
I
was
don't have any
75
idea.
years old, right? 70?
I'm here to deliver the news. My job is to deliver solid information, fact-filled news.
And our job is
Is
to
to-
interrogate you about it.
That's right. To interrogate me about it.
Interrogate. Interrogate. I made up a new word.
No, folks, he has not been.
That's we are next level. We're more like journalists than we are anything else. I think we could qualify ourselves
Oh, my
as
goodness.
that.
Interrogate.
And then let other people do with it whatever they want.
Right.
But it stops here. Our responsibility
Well, we have
is to the people.
We have to talk after you say it.
So
or
you
else
think
it's
he
just
cheated?
you reading news.
Right.
so you're saying you think
And then
he
I'll get
cheated?
mad if you don't talk. And then if you don't say the right thing, I'll get mad at that too. It's really a no-win situation being in the room with me ever. Go ahead, Amanda. Say the right thing.
So you think he cheated then? You're leaning that way. You said it was pretty damning.
I don't know that I want to have an opinion on that. Like most things, I just don't. It's just safer not to have an opinion on anything. Vaughn is like crying, laughing. Or he's crying about Dr. Meza.
I'm still on interrogate.
It sounds like they got some pretty good information on the guy.
I mean, that guy usually does a pretty good job of investigating
yeah,
people,
like they,
right?
They don't
I mean,
just
he's
randomly like, oh, you can't explain this like one little thing. Like the guy does.
This
his
wasn't
research.
one race.
No,
that-
it was a lot.
This was
Yeah.
quite a few.
Yeah.
And they actually disqualified him from the Los Angeles marathon.
Yeah.
Like they vacated his time or whatever. So that seems like you have to have pretty good evidence for something like that to happen. So,
And I think he formed a popular running club or something.
Wow.
That's sad.
Again, when you deliver news and you bring facts, it usually starts with saying like, I think he was head of a running club or something.
well, I know that he had said, let's say he ran a 3:30 marathon or something. He said, okay, fine. Next time I'm gonna go run another marathon and show you that I can run this fast. Like it sounded to me like he was gonna go and prove himself.
Mm-hmm.
Not that he was a cheater. He was just gonna be like, okay, fine, I cheated, or y'all think I cheated. I'm gonna go and now run a 3:15 marathon.
That was another thing that was so weird about it was he was so endearing and he was so like, I don't want this. Like, I don't want the fame any more than I want the
Right. That's what it
the
seemed
good
like to me.
any more than I want the bad. I just really want to be out of the spotlight. And so it makes you think like, this guy wouldn't cheat. He didn't care anything about any of that. But then you look at some of his times and it's like, this is weird.
Maybe he is a cheater. You never know.
I don't know. What do you think about dogs on trails, leashes and whatnot? Trail etiquette for dog owners.
I think
That's a hot topic, dude.
I think depending on the dog,
Yes.
it would be okay.
How do you?
I don't think you should blanketly say every dog should be allowed or no dog should be allowed. But I think if the dog is well trained and listens to commands of their owner, and
I've not had any problems in the dogs that I've encountered on trails.
Yeah.
I haven't either.
I've had people that run with dogs on leashes and off leash, and it's the owners that know their dogs well enough to let the dog run off leash that I never have a problem with that dog, because generally they see you, the person sees you, the owner sees you, and they'll give their dog a command, and the dog will give you a wide berth. It's the ones that are out there with like me running with my dog. He's 1 second he's 3 feet to my right, the next second he's 3 feet to my left, and if somebody happens to be right there, then he's going to trip both of us in the process, and my dog's an asshole when it comes to run.
Did you see the?
And you're aware of that, so you won't.
Yeah,
let
so
him off
I
the
don't
leash.
go into a situation where it would be like a single track trail where I might have to pass people or something like that, or have people pass me. I wouldn't put myself in that situation.
Yeah, your dog needs to be trained.
I need to be trained.
Not your dog, but if you're going to bring a dog on the trail.
You're like,
I thought you were
well,
telling
he doesn't have
Brian
to-
your dog.
he
is-
keeps him on a leash.
Now I feel attacked.
Get him, guys, get him. No, if you're going to bring a dog on the trail, it needs to be comfortable and trained to be on the trail. I saw a video on Reddit of this little dog on a trail. I don't know if you saw it or not, but it's like a single track trail, and the guy's videoing his little dog. It looked like a dachshund, maybe a little bigger, but he's got this big stick in his mouth that covers like the entire trail, right? And he's just walking down the trail, and this lady comes running up in front, and the dog does not move, and so she gets, the sticks covering the path, and she gets to the dog and just stops in bewilderment, like she doesn't know what to do.
Like you can't jump over
Like,
it.
why don't you just jump over the stick? And she like goes off the trail. She like gets put out, goes off the trail around the stick, and I was like,
So-
I wouldn't have even stopped. I would have just went right over that.
So I would have never stopped. I would have just jumped over it. But I can also see, to some extent, I feel like the owner of the dog is being a little bit of a dick that the dog is
right.
blocking the trail.
I agree with some of that.
And so like I can see both sides of it. Really, I can. Like, she shouldn't have been so put out, and he shouldn't have been an asshole for letting the dog block
Right.
the trail.
yeah.
So
Well, 100% of the world is going to respond with the answer, as long as you got your dog trained, it's fine. The problem is
I think there's some people that would say no.
the kind of people that, well, if they were sure that the dog was trained.
Okay.
The problem is that we got not dumbass dogs, but dumbass humans
Who think
making
they
the
have a good
judgment.
dog, yeah.
The same way with kids. My Jimmy would never do that. Well, my Otis would never run off and bite somebody.
Right.
Every time when I've been bit by a dog when I'm in somebody's backyard slinging fertilizer, the words said about 15 seconds prior to that is, worst thing he's going to do is just lick you. Wrong. You're like, that wasn't a lick. The dog just bit me. And it's like, I know you didn't expect your dog to do that, but dogs bite sometimes.
Yeah.
I called a dog had bit me in the back. I was playing with it, and I'd throw the ball to it. Me and Pedro would throw the ball to it, and he would get mad when you left. So you had to throw the ball on your way out. He was a great dog,
Right.
but when I'm walking away, he got the back of my calf through my pants and
Oh wow.
drew blood. And so I called the owner just to find out if he had his shots or if I needed to go get a shot. I wasn't upset with it, and he's like, "It wasn't my dog." I was like, "It was your dog. I'm just trying to find out about the shots." He's like, "Well, I'm just he wouldn't do that. I don't think it was my dog." I was like, I watched him bite the back of
I
my
was
calf.
in your yard.
Don't you come spray fertilizer on my yard ever again, you son of a bitch.
And I told him, I said, I'm not coming after you for any liability. I'm not looking for anything. I just want to know if he's had his shot.
Yeah, I don't need you to admit that your dog did it or anything like that. Just, do you mind telling me? I'm just asking about your
Yeah,
dog.
I'm just asking about your
I'm
dog.
going to ask you yes or no question. Does your dog have the shots? But
funny.
that's when you get into leashes and things like that. Post that question. Say that you have a dog that you're not really sure about, but you really want to take it on a trail without a leash. Put it on trail notes you're running, and people will fly in to Memphis and show up at your house with torches. They'll go crazy.
I was thinking about taking my dog on the trail with no leash.
Ask that.
I've never been out before.
Ask that. And
Thoughts?
We'll be able to talk about it all week next podcast. People go crazy over that.
I'll take a picture of Lilo and post a picture of her.
Who, your German Shepherd?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Could you imagine Charlie out on the trail? He would chase every moving object, bark at every human.
See, that's the thing. It's the barking and all the other stuff that's also
It'd be
like I
terrible.
feel like your dog.
You think
should,
he'd be terrible?
He would be a disaster.
I don't know that for a fact.
He'd be a
I don't know that
disaster.
we know that.
And plus, he'd want to play with everybody that came up.
Yeah,
Want to jump up on him.
that's really Porter's issue. Is Porter thinks everybody's there to see him. So like when you're walking down the sidewalk and somebody's coming at you, he's like, "Oh, this person wants to pet me. Let me go
Yeah.
get in front of them." No, that person doesn't want to fucking be anywhere near you.
People
Leave them
say the
alone.
same thing about me. Not everybody wants to talk to you. Quit running up and talking to people. They're trying to race.
He's chasing
What's your
them
name?
across the street.
Hey,
as they're trying to
what's your
cross
name?
the
Hold
street.
on.
Where are you from?
Come here. Can I have that honey stinger? Come back. My name's
Holy
Wilson.
crap.
Guess what?
We're
I
out of
can't believe it.
time.
Yeah, man.
Wah,
Goes
wah,
fast.
It's insane. That went really fast.
I've missed you guys.
I've missed you too, man.
Thanks for coming back,
It's
Brian.
not the same. It's good to have all of us here together.
The
One
surgery
big-
was success.
Brian is now a woman.
Brianna.
No, I'm just not pissing on my balls anymore.
I don't even.
With that,
It went
lift heavy, run long. Number 150 what?
Three.
I'm all defunct.
153.
153.
153 is in the books. We're shutting this thing down.